Wherever there's trouble, G.I. Joe is there.
Good morning, everybody. Everyone racing back just in time. So good morning. Welcome to the G.I. Joe 3D printing podcast. I am Mark from Mark II Toys. With me are my co-hosts, Mr. Michael Kleppinger and Mr. Juan Poor. And our special guest today, Mr. Giles Gifford, or at
Hi there.
G.I. Joe ARAH.
There we go.
Good to go.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Saturday morning. Appreciate it. So today's topic is painting. And we've been, when we set out to do the show, we really kind of wanted to take a potential audience from like the beginning through to like a finished product. So we started out with like, what type of machine should we get? And then we talked about 3D design. We talked about slicing. And so now as we're coming up on almost to the 1 year anniversary, which I think is next month, we've reached kind of the end state, which is how to finish off what we've made and make it look as good as possible. So we're talking about painting. So we're gonna.
My favorite part.
Yeah, you know, there's I think similar to you, like I had been doing gaming stuff for a while, and it can be just real relaxing, and when you're able to take your time and be patient, it's a little cathartic. But I always find myself trying to like paint armies and speed paint through it, and I've never reached the level that I think you're at, where you've really mastered kind of layering and, you know, changing the color a little, another layer, and that's the results speak for themselves.
I started when I was 10, the tabletop mini games, and I never stopped. I mean, I guess I stopped in college a bit, but I came right back to it. And you're absolutely right. For me, it's like almost like you know, I'll sit there. I work odd hours, so I often find myself at home alone, just on my iPhone, and just sit and paint or watch documentaries. But for me, it's like regaining a headspace.
Yeah, even, you know, it's interesting. When I'm printing one thing, like I design one thing and I'm only going to print one thing, like the whole process, I enjoy it. And then as soon as it's like, okay, do that 50 times, it's not fun anymore.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So I am going to bring up your Instagram, and we're going to kind of go through some of it. And if anyone's got specific questions about specific pieces, we can ask and kind of talk through things.
And I can run through my process as well if you like.
Okay. You know what? Just to maximize this, I'm going to, well, actually, can I do that? There we go. I think that's the best I'm going to get.
Yeah, it looks good.
Cool.
Well,
so,
yeah, maybe when you click a picture, it'll probably come up even bigger. So, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice call. All right. So looking at this one, I just kind of went all the way down on the Instagram. Is this the first one that you did when you started painting
first? That was my first legitimate. I'd repainted like Duke and Roadblock, and I turned Shang-Chi into a Quick Kick. It was the first one that I had, you know, I'd like sculpt the jacket and figure out a bunch of stuff. Thundercats, you can see on his belt buckle.
Well, hey, he's got a beater on. We call them wife beaters back where I grew up. You know, we don't mean to promote that, but yeah, I didn't know he had a t-shirt on under the tropic shirt, the Hawaii shirt. It's pretty sweet.
Well,
I mean, you can,
like I said, it was my first one, and I just kind of that Empire Slayer figure. And you can see the progression, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's see what else I can do. And then if you follow the you can kind of see,
So are they
how I've learned. And
what happened?
Mm-hmm.
The sunglasses are
yep.
with here without. So how did
Yeah.
You
the shirt?
So yeah, and if you scroll like that, even looking back at these early ones, I'd never done this before. I started with then Duke, then Chuckles, then Quick Kick, and so on and so forth. And so as I made them, and you can see kind of the progression of sculpting and painting and all hold up. But I certainly like the later ones better.
Cool.
So I did want to know how you painted or not painted, but how you sculpted the shirt on Chuckles.
So and I had to cut the back of it, and I was under the impression when I posted on pictures on, so my early ones only have 3 pictures. And then I learned you could put up to 10. But I have the dude right here.
Let me
Switch out.
So here he is. I've taken off the glasses on him. Back there, I had to sculpt these shoulders. There it is. And it's a crappy job. Like, I was like, oh man, I've gotten a lot better at that. But I had to cut down, right down, sculpt maybe about a half an inch through the middle of his back, which was tough, but I think it worked out.
So was this something you took from something else and sort of kit bashed, or is it like green stuff or some other type of putty you made?
Green stuff, always green stuff. That's my go.
Perfect. Sweet.
Cool. And that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think those colors were probably
this one
maybe a little easier than doing that. Like that loud shirt had to be a challenge. This was probably an easier place to start.
Yeah. He wrote. The tough part on this guy was I painted that effing flag on his shoulder.
Yeah,
like a moron.
That's-
Up in the
Wow.
decals.
Yes.
I
Decals.
think there's a shot of the actual. I think there's a pic of the actual flag on his shoulder, but a decal looks better.
like if I go
trying
here, I can.
Yeah. Well,
There's
I don't know how you scroll through the pictures.
this guy. Here we go.
Yeah, that era.
Dory.
Yep.
And I think it's the next one.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh,
Yeah. Looking at it now, I don't
That's a little.
like it. Like,
Well, I
I'm a
mean,
perfectionist, but
yeah, but we're also looking at it like zoomed in like 5 times, right? Like this is
That's
much
pretty
larger
yeah.
than what you would see with the naked eye.
and here's zoomed in a lot of times.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, great job
So
color matching and
Yeah. Like I said, the painting is always hard. But yeah, looking at these guys, I haven't even looked or thought about these guys, and it's been. I started this on the pandemic as like my little pandemic hobby.
This is your 2020 stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
for you.
The ancient stuff.
Yeah.
oh, I like how you textured the bag here. Oh, well, come on, man. Get back. Sorry. The texture on the bag, you brushed that in?
Yeah,
Looks like.
yeah.
That's fantastic. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
So when you go about starting to paint one of these, what's kind of I don't know if it's like the inspiration, the look, I'm not sure how to phrase it. Are you going for just that exaggerated contrast that you would have on gaming miniatures where it makes them pop and you're just sort of stuck with that style? Are you trying to make it look like comics or like what's
Exactly.
your...
My pick is for these guys, for the Joes, and I'm doing the Cobras a different way. I'm doing the Cobras as if they were a police, so you're not going to see a lot of the same stuff is on these guys. This guy was a pain in the ass to his vest. But to answer your question, it was like just stepped off the comic book page.
Okay.
Okay.
And so these
Very
are
nice.
just straight up repaints. I mean, the Mutton Junkyard was a bash, but this one was just colors to look more. But I just repainted the classified figure, added a couple of grenades.
Now, how did you do the grenades on the Scarlet? Also green stuff?
No, so back before Gridiron, I don't know, what was it, dark before, Mark came along with, his company, and I would look from like, there's like all these other 1/18 scale lines of figure grenades. And so, no, I did not sculpt
Okay.
grenades. That's far, I mean, I do time intensive, and I don't think it looked as good as the plastic.
Okay.
Talk to me about this this beachhead head.
That is a Fortnite head. So the beachhead is the beachhead body, and then I added a couple extra magazines across. And the mask on the actual beachhead it's fine, but I wanted something to the original. So there was a Fortnite figure, I forget what he was called, but he had an alternate head, so I figured, why not? Looking head with the big old nose. But I think it's funny, comic style.
Larry Hama here. What was this based on? Like what was the figure before you?
That was Wolverine, and his arms didn't fit, so I had to use magnets. His arms still pop. This isn't a good example of a figure I would go back and redo, because he looks far too role on the team was. But I was still learning how to do it all, and I figured it worked well enough.
Yeah, the eyes look really amazing on this.
Yeah, eyes are tough, but if you do of them, you get good at them. Real tough eyes are like the miniatures, the little Warhammer ones.
Oh yeah,
Those guys are just, oh my god.
So,
yes.
so paint wise, are you like all in with Games Workshop stuff?
Painter P3. Basically, so long as it's acrylic paint, or the Citadel brand doesn't have the exact color I like, and so I end up doing a lot. Which sucks if you have to go back and repaint that you did earlier.
Yeah,
You got to mix that stuff again and try to get the same color.
Yeah.
That's
This guy is still one of my favorite shipwrecks. So that's what sculpted the hat, and it's a Duke body, and I sculpted the sleeves, sculpted the knees, but the lower legs are from a wrestling figure. And this was such a I mostly made like the head and the body, but it's again a Fortnite figure. But this one was so many good feedback, and everybody always won't sell anything. So I sculpted another one of these, and I just gave it to Gnomes.
nice. How did you get the poly?
So that was a Raven fig line. I forget which one it was. Like a weird looking dude, but he had a big Raven. And then I got a different, I forget where it was from. It was from like Natures or something, like a parrot. I didn't really like it, so I used like the parrot base on him, and a little bit bigger head, and then the feathers. Then I put magnets so he can attach onto his wrist and or his shoulder. I put magnets in Shipwreck's arm, and I think there's a shot of it on his shoulder.
Yeah,
sweet.
That's
Oh, nice.
That's really clever.
A lot of flack from this because I was never in the military, but apparently on one arm. Didn't know that. Got a lot of.
Well, but that's how the figure was. The original figure had it on both, didn't it?
I think he only had it on the right,
Hold on. Yeah,
but I
on the
liked how because I painted all the rank on him, and I liked it so much. I did it on both.
Now I need to go grab my original shipwreck and look. I thought that original figure had it on both. How did it
I
skip
got him
ahead?
right here. Nope, just on the right shoulder. The
right.
ship.
Yep.
So, since I was actually in the Navy long ago enough that I wore dungarees, I'll tell you that this figure, the original figure, has it on the wrong sleeve.
Mhm.
One,
Oh,
two, on dungarees we don't wear the colored stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of things wrong. Like there's no reason to like nitpick the customizer using both sleeves when like there's
oh
so
no, I
many
get it.
things
I
wrong.
don't. I didn't know that the flag. I initially on Duke's arm, his flag.
Oh, you have the
The
bars on the wrong side. Yeah, I didn't
right.
even
So
think
I
of
put
that.
them on both sides. The stars. Yeah, the stars on
Yeah, the
his
star should be forward.
flag. You're right.
Yep.
I didn't know that. Now I know. Didn't make that mistake again.
All right, so now we're getting into some stuff.
Yeah. So this
Yeah,
was my first vehicle. Now this was from a guy, Hank Perry, who's one out. I don't know who the original designer was. I tried to figure that out, but I don't know who in the Wolverine first. I mean, obviously Hasbro, but I mean the bigger.
I believe it's Spark Beetle. I think. Yeah.
he got the
Yeah,
first
I
one
think-
out, I believe,
Mhm.
and a
Yep.
lot of people were printing them.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at it, and this is an FDM print, I think.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
see any layer lines. So this is something I really wanted to get into with you. I mean, this is smooth. Are you just using
Sanding.
filler primer? I mean,
I tried doing that. There's like this goo you can buy, this almost resiny type stuff. Spread
like
it on
glazing
it,
putty?
and then
Yep. The filler.
right. But it has to be like doesn't dry right. So with this, I ended up just sanding. And if you keep going through, you can see lines if you're going through the pics.
Yeah. Was it the XTC that you tried experimenting with?
That sounds right.
Yeah,
I
there was
don't
that
have it
picture of an orange skull
anymore.
on the package.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, no, that stuff's brutal. It goes on really thick. It dries really hard, and it's hard to sand. So I
So I
know
ended up
I like using like glazing putty or Bondo or filler primer or all three.
I found that you amazing folks in the 3D mods that issue for me because now the prints don't need any prep.
I would say it depends. Like
Well,
if
yeah.
it's
So, go ahead. Sorry.
no, well the like for me anyway, like I don't have a big resin machine. I've got a Saturn, which isn't small, but it isn't big enough to do any of this. So like I would end up printing most of that with FDM, and it would need to be cleaned up.
Well, I would clean up a lot of the FDM stuff, and then some of the like Sean Cho, the prints that he gives me are just amazing. And then even claws, I don't have to do anything to those.
Yeah, the claw is interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we move up. But I thought the painting on that was a little bit weird because it kind of just wanted to suck the paint in because of the surface.
Mhm.
Look at the eyes. Oh my goodness. So well done. And
Yeah, those are amazing.
and you
So
kind
is
of
that-
went a little more subtle with the shadow. If we would just scroll down a couple, the shadows were a little heavier on the faces, and like
So is
really
that
Yeah.
head scope is that Marvel head scope, Giles?
Yep,
The
it sure is.
okay,
I-
yeah.
I
Oh, it
forget
looks-
which one.
I know exactly which figure that is, but it looks altogether different with your painting. It looks like it's a different sculpt almost.
Yeah, Shockwave. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Another one I would go back and redo, but just in the photography. And I still learning how to shoot pictures back then. I don't like, I've changed background. You see how that one's like super bright. And the other
Yeah,
one, so
yeah.
I had to do different brightnesses on them to, like low is looks weird. So I did some light shots and some dark shots.
So like looking at some of these folds in his legs here, it looks brushed on, not a wash. Or do you do washes at all?
I do. So like with this guy, I would do a blue spray primer to hold the paint base color that I want, and then I would wash it, and then I would repaint it, and is of dark fold recesses with the wash in place to create the shadow depth, additional highlight, and additional highlight, and additional highlight. So each color has steps to it. It's very time intensive.
Shockwave there.
Yeah.
Shockwave with Shockwave.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can see like that picture. I think that's a custom. The figure's awesome. I still love the figure. I've since added. Where is he? I don't know if you can shoot back to me really quick.
Yeah. Trying to.
There we go. So I added police decal.
Oh, nice.
Was done. Yeah.
I mean, I always think they look far better in hand than they do on the pictures. But yeah, no. When I did the MP guy, the Law and Order guy, I wanted it, so I just added that guy on there.
Mm-hmm. Sweet.
All right, where are we at? Snake Eyes. And that looks fantastic. Like they've done so many of them, but none of them look quite like that.
Yeah, this was before he came out with the wolf. So the wolf figure was, I think it was like a Rampage figure or something.
Mm-hmm.
Looks a lot like they did this one release of Snake Eyes where it cost like $100 and something, but the painting was pretty similar to I mean not the layers and the depth of Christmas time. But it looks pretty similar to the Hasbro feller. Forgot about that.
So I'm guessing this was you did this one around Christmas.
Yep.
And sent out his Christmas card. I didn't get that Christmas card. This is my guy. This is
That Stalker looks great.
He's from Detroit, and that's where I was raised. So he's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stalker. I was very, very proud of. I really liked that, and I really liked how the custom came out. But again, the pictures way with my photography in terms of figuring out how to get the best lighting, because back then it was either super dark like the last one.
That's really good though. Stalker, I think Stalker, just the way he was portrayed in the cartoon and the comics, like a lot of people really liked that character.
That's my
He was
guy.
just kind of a smart, no nonsense dude, and
kind of a field general. He was often in command out there.
I always thought that he was the boss of everything. I never understood the G.I. Joe structures, though.
Well,
No one ever understood it.
yeah, because like there were people who had higher rank than Duke, but Duke was the field leader.
Right. I don't know. I just go with it.
well, he
That's
was the
I-
top
I-
sergeant. So like any time you've got a chain of command of a unit like that, you've got the CO, then the XO, and then you've got the enlisted leader, and that's what Duke was.
Okay. Yeah, because Scarlet was actually like a captain. He had a higher rank or something like that.
No, well, I mean, he was enlisted and she was an officer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's I don't know. I think it depends on the file card you look at, because a lot of them, like Lady J was like an E5.
Mm.
You know, man, this is decals, the ribbons you've got on him.
Yeah, so tattoos. I can't recommend them highly enough. Jeff,
Bad
wonderful
mother
guy.
tattoos. Is that what you said?
Yeah, repeat that, Joe. It kind of broke up. We want to make sure we get out people. They know who to go to.
Yeah, Bad Mother Tattoos, Jeff.
Bad mother tattoos. Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure.
Now,
yeah.
do they have their own website? I've ordered something from them, but it was on eBay, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's 87 spuds on eBay.
There we go. Sweet.
So, like, I'm curious. So I'm looking at the ribbons, right? So it's like Bronze Star, Purple Heart. I'm not sure what this one is. That looks like a comm. Actually, looks like a Navy comm. That looks like
It
some
is.
type of unit ribbon.
So I had
This
a
is
Navy
a
buddy.
Navy Achievement Medal.
This guy's in the Army. He's not in the Navy. Why does he have Navy
Yeah.
ribbons? Every time I put one of these up, the comments are great, and I don't mind. I learn a lot. But yeah, those are Navy ribbons.
That was me, so that caught my eye right away. If this had been Air Force, I wouldn't have been able to say that's Air Force, not Army, But since it's Navy, I could catch it. It looks
Okay.
like in hand. That's got to just look amazing. It's just
I like-
everything up here is so sharp.
I like what you did with the glasses on the helmet, where you much impose with the painting the streakiness and the glare. Talk to me about what made you kind of go into that detail, because I don't think most people would do that.
Straight up stolen from Transformers. Every time the Autobots windshields would always have that same effect. So that was what I was trying to create. So I just looked at pictures in car or truck mode and tried to translate that as best I could.
Yeah, kind of like that cell shading almost. What works great with it too is that, like, on the helmet they're kind of tilted up, so it would be all sky reflecting off of there. So it really works on here. It's really nice.
And that's an effect that I've done throughout, pretty much every mirrored surface I've had. It's that too has come a long way. I think those goggles are a bit too, obvious about it. And then as I move forward, I made it a little more subtle.
Okay. We've got another big O 3D print.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think this might also have been Hank Perry.
I love that you've pulled off. I don't want to say a gunmetal, but like a brushed aluminum almost surface. That's not even the right way to describe it either. But it's definitely like the wheels on this. They look like metal. They look great.
Yeah, just some iron metal like highlights.
Yeah.
The dry brushed, or what was the technique on
that? I paint, so I use the dry brush a lot, like a couple decks on that. And so now each brush stroke has intention.
Okay.
Look at that. That's awesome. So it's so clean.
Okay, hanging out.
Got our guy out back.
This guy was Motorcycle Punisher.
Yeah, those arms just like cut.
Hasbro did a really good job with their release. But if you look at the actual face back, like his arms are jacked. So I wanted to give him some pretty big arms. And that head sculpt is actually gung ho, and I just made all the hair.
Oh, really? So
wow.
You just went sculpting crazy. I thought this might have been that one. I saw there's a guy that sculpted the Outback head. I thought that might have been it, and just your paint job made it different. But you actually sculpted this.
No, I did, and
Gee.
and I also gave this shop to sell, so that may have been what you saw.
Oh, hold on.
And this is green stuff again, yeah?
Yep.
Wow. I have a friend who really does some amazing stuff with green stuff. It just blows my mind. My problem
What's
is
this guy like?
my eyes are just not good enough.
I think I'm pretty good at it, but there's this fella Solomon Witt who is Michelangelo with green stuff. It is amazing.
So is the tattoo in the middle painted on, or it looks painted?
Some other
Yeah?
tattoos.
That's another decal. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
And was the vest and hat like a kit, or was this something you went ahead and did too?
Nope, that was designed by Adam Freeman and Fit. I think I said those names right. But no, Adam did a great job designing the vest and the.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
What do we got? Skyhawks.
These were from Jeff Woodward,
Yep.
who did the only thing that I changed on it was to add glass inside the canopy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that just some like acetate or something?
No, I just the packages that the class. I just cut the plastic out, and
Okay.
you can't super glue it because it'll fog. It's kind of glue that I have. It's almost like a rubber cement type, but it hardens much better than rubber. Create the fumes that fog up the glass.
Yeah, the CA glue it can be rough because it reacts with the oils and stuff from your finger. Any kind of like oil or even water, it'll react with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very clean though. Very
the
clean.
windshield is the way to go. I like that.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I said the windshield is the way to go. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah, they're pleasing to look at. There we go, rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you did the goggles on him.
Yeah, I kind of was stuck with that choice. Old Man Hawkeye head, and they work great with him. And these,
He wouldn't be. He wouldn't have a pot leaf tattoo.
I don't know, man. He's from Cali. I don't know.
No, like you're not allowed to have those in the military.
You're not allowed that.
Mark, these were your Gatling guns, bud.
Yeah.
They were.
I love that. I've never been able to get that right. That's like so I did BattleTech, and that was where kind of my mini painting came from. And they do this jeweled cockpit glass thing. This very much like this. I was never able to get that down.
Is it I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. Convex? Like, is it actually bowled out, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it is.
So when I want the sort of jewel effect or whatever, I just take a little bit of sort of like that clearish type resin and pop it in there, and then just cure it. It gives me sort of that really that same effect. Not the bowled out, but it'll do like a nice shiny clear effect for that.
Yeah, I've used you can get like a small bottle of like a thick varnish, and I've done that, but it's still being able to paint the highlights and everything the way he did. Like that's just
Yeah.
it's just so interesting to look at.
I mean, it's like anything else. If you do it enough, you get good at it. But it's it's kind of a trick. It's it's just dialing down a lower paint, like a darker paint, and then highlighting little dots to show light reflection. And then I also use a gloss, like a shiny effect.
The shiny gloss. Yeah.
So I'm looking at, and you can just barely make out that there's layer lines in here, and you're just sanding, like you didn't there's no filler primer, there's nothing like that, it's just straight sanding.
Yep.
That's so
and minimal.
interesting.
I think I just did minimal sanding on this because I figured whatever lines we saw, I think I figured I could just kind of cover them up or take the highlights.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
I don't know if they would have a radar on those guns, but I figured why not?
They should have something because his line of sight is completely blocked by all that stuff in front of him.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, they got to have something for targeting. I hadn't seen this one before.
That's great.
That's awesome.
So what was the junkyard originally?
He was a WWE Wrestling accessory pack from 2000.
Okay.
And whenever I the static animals, I wanted them to also have some degree of articulation. It was a pain. This is Cable's upper body and Cage's not Cage body. So this was the first time I learned how to like drill out a figure, pop it all, make it back together.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love the
helmet I
mustache on this
sculpted.
one.
Yeah, I got a lot of Tom Selleck memes when I posted this one. The helmet is sculpted up. I mean, like people like Gridiron have made helmets like this, or really any of that was around. So that the helmet's green stuff on top of just a basic.
Where did that come from? The Scuba Steve stuff going on.
So the Scuba Steve stuff, I'm trying to remember. I'd use a lot of Playmobil crap. I don't think that was. I think, but that was like from a similar type figure, like a toy thing that even if it doesn't look great, you can paint it up.
Nemo.
Yeah, I never understood that Muskrat's book.
Yeah, I didn't have him as a kid, but I got him within the last few months, and I didn't realize it was like a backpack and a boogie board. Like it's, yeah, I don't know.
So this is also your loadout, Mark. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, this was earlier decal from me.
Oh, it worked great.
All right. So is that the Duke head, or did you?
I have three. If you go there, I made three of these. I gave one to my buddy DJ Peluso, and then I made another one, designer and printer for gear for I think it was for barbecue. But I wanted each one to be different, so I gave each one a different head.
Okay.
That's the Duke head.
But yeah.
Well, I was wondering if it was the Duke head and then he did some sculpting on the hair or something. But no, I guess this is a different head.
So you did this barbecue before we got a barbecue, right?
Like 2 years before.
Yeah. So when we find out we're getting a barbecue, is there a party that's like, damn it, or
No, I
it
mean,
doesn't matter?
it doesn't matter. They did a great job on the barbecue figure, and if it had been around when I was thinking about doing it, because they did such a great job, I think theirs is better than mine in terms of. I like mine because each one of these guys takes me 30 hours or however long. They're like my children.
This is this guy.
There we go. I'm starting to really get into like I've looked at your stuff before, but I've never like clicked through every picture.
At the
It's
end
like
of them, I
you're
always
saying the fun
try
one.
to put a joke, like a gag.
Yeah. Outstanding. Do
It-
you remember who did
And I
the
think
devilfish?
This is Hank Perry again, and this was I guess the original. This doesn't look like the one that is out now or the one that we had as a kid. So I think the prototype model, you can tell because the missiles are in the back instead of the front.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Just right by
And then
his arms.
and then Bad Mother tattoo cows for me.
Wow. Those look great.
Nice.
Uh-oh, what's that? What's coming? Ah!
Kraken.
I forget what
Kraken.
Cthulhu's minions are called. Leatherback.
Conversation with Ron Rudat about this guy. Who the Leatherneck was based off of Ron Rudat, who's
Right.
Yeah,
the designer of the G.I. Joes on it.
I've never seen Leatherneck smoke like 2 packs a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. So do you airbrush it all or ever?
No, I do have an airbrush, and I've tried it. More control with paintbrushes.
Right.
And
I find I like it to put down like a base coat, but after that you gotta switch. I kind of cut you off there. I'm sorry.
oh no, that's fine. So I used to, and then I found the spray coat primer was. So this guy his sweater was all sculpted out. That was the sweater and his collar.
Awesome.
Oh, that's
It
nice.
makes me want to just tear open some Joes and start throwing some green stuff at them.
So they've since gone back and done this. This Branch Casual Toy Collector, and it was a great print. I didn't get but it is what it is.
Looks good, man. You can definitely see some lines on that
This
one.
One, I didn't have enough patience to do all the sanding needed. I was in like solid production mode.
Yeah.
Cranking them out.
Yeah. I mean, sanding's not the fun. No one's.
No,
No one's.
it is not.
Oh, I can't wait to get to sanding these prints. Like, that's not.
Very
So this one I actually like better than the Hasbro release.
That looks great. Now, who did the gun on that one? Is that the Muchas Gracias one?
That is the gun in the backpack was just amazing.
Yep.
But this one was my favorite when it came along.
sweet. Yeah.
I love the fur
Yeah.
effect you gave
Yeah.
on the boots there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you can't really tell. Like, so the fur sides, like his knife holster and the sides of his pants have little, like, I don't know if you call them tassels.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it here.
Mm.
Yeah,
think
I
maybe
mean,
there's a
like I never noticed them on the original figure, but you did obviously, and that looks really good.
Made 'em pop.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I think Hasbro did a great job with their. With I don't know. I just really liked how this guy turned out.
Yeah, he looks really
That-
good.
Yeah.
So there.
Jinx.
This one had some sculpting involved. I kind of forget who this figure was originally. The legs and the arms to kind of make it, and then the head. So I think Jinx looks better with her hooded head than the actual head, because I think that the head, a very small figure, but even that looks a touch big on her.
Mm.
I thought that was such a cool weapon when we were kids.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but it's pretty awesome.
I don't like this guy.
No.
Don't. That's a Logan head.
No. Picture
What
looks
did-
like he's trying to take a dump.
Ah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
Done.
He put the windshield on
By-
it. Yep.
This one was printed by Joe, and it was a great print. I mean, the only thing I did was add, of course, painted it, but it was great print.
Like Joe Walter, Joe's.
Just know Miss Joe Walter on Facebook.
Okay.
We message.
That's my guy.
Yeah, so he's got a Facebook page called Joe's, and I believe that's what he goes by on Instagram.
Mm.
He's a super nice dude. I like him a lot.
Yeah, we've had him
So-
on this this show twice now. Yeah, super nice guy.
Maybe TMI for you, but when I painted this, I was recovering from a vasectomy.
No.
So that's a little inside
It's
joke.
Yeah.
Repaint, added, changed the color and gave her some guns on her little ankles. It kind of looks pretty similar to what they ended up doing with the official release.
Psych out. I thought he was cool when I was a kid.
Yeah, this guy never got a bunch of love. This was
That's
another. He took a
I
lot
was
of
gonna
sculpting to
say.
get done.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
Yeah.
sculpted all that nonsense. That's crazy.
It's
Yep.
crazy. Yeah, I was gonna say he's one of those figures, the 3¾ inches. He's known as the commons, one of the commons. They end up in like every batch of figures that you see.
Oh, like when you go to a show and they've got like a big box full of figures.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I've since found a better hat for this guy off of the, which I'm far happier with. That one just looked a bit off, a little too, I don't know, cartoony.
Nice.
do you have them? You want to show it? Show it with the new hat.
There you go. There it is. This is the Jurassic Park head sculpt on from Muldoon. It just
Yeah.
looks better, I think.
Okay.
And the one they're bringing out that has looks great.
So, Giles, one question I've had about your figures. When you're done painting them, are they still fully articulated or do you lock the pose in?
Nope. They can
Okay.
move all around, do all. I mean, I don't play with them, but no,
Yep.
do all the stuff they're supposed to do.
Okay.
With the Cobra line now, they're not meant to get played with like the official releases. So if it's
Right.
rub, and so I just started the Cobra run, and how I'm doing those is point prep, and minimizing or eliminating the paint Cobras is to make them just like something that you could play with as rough and tumble as you would, not have them break or have the paint rub off or anything like that.
Okay. So do you seal your painting?
I do.
Okay. What do you use?
And I do it more now with like a Mod Podge type sealer, and then so I'll paint on a couple like coats of that.
Okay.
So you're like Mod. I haven't actually used Mod Podge. I've seen it plenty of times, but it's pretty thick, right? And you're just do you thin it
Yeah,
out?
you water it down.
Water it down.
And I can go downstairs and grab the actual recipe I use if you like.
If anyone in the chat is desperate for it, maybe we'll do that. But otherwise, so you said recipe. Are you saying like is there other stuff in there, or is it just like water and Mod Podge?
Yeah, show a figure. Or you guys talk. I'll be right back. Give me 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw this one. That's a little dark.
Yeah. Man, dude caught it. Oh my gosh.
So I'm curious if that's supposed to be Dr. Venom. We'll ask him. Seems like he was a comic guy. I'll just hit and run.
Oh, I love the bag. That's awesome.
Yeah, some soft goods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Podge sealer, and then mostly this other stuff called Plaid Peel AID Folk Matte Acrylic Sealer.
Okay.
Interesting. And what's the ratios?
A little bit of the Mod Podge, and then mostly the Plaid. And you can painter also has a sealer or a matte varnish, but it makes it more liquid and they're very thin coats. And then if you want, you can spray seal at the very end.
Okay.
So speaking of like paint rub, speaking of paint rub, I've seen another technique where people are like, especially like for Cobra Troopers, they are dyeing the figure, like dyeing, and that gives just a really clean look.
I've started doing that as well. Problem with dyeing is lighter color to a darker color. You never dye lighter. So if you want a yellow or if you want a red, it's just not going to work. I even tried to dye. I've maybe 2 months ago. I'm working on Night Creepers now. So you can dye white to darker, or lighter to darker. But if you're done with it, it'll bleed. So like I just did a Falcon brown, a lot of his gear brown, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to it, but if the Cobra logo, the dye has already bled through the silver, making it more of a brownish type silver. So it kind of dial in that well. But I like it so far because it does, or in terms of, making so when you bend the knees, you see, speak. So if I can't get it with dye, then I just shave down the joints, and then that totally eliminates.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people, I think the technique was really
This guy.
being used on troopers and stuff. Yeah.
So this guy I commissioned him for this, and my hope was that after I paid a penny for it, it could just be released to the community. And he tried that, and then there was a few bad apples or whatever you want to call it, but kind of made it. So that only lasted for a couple of days.
Yeah.
What is the canopy clear, or is it painted in such a way that it
No,
looks like
it's like
frosted and dark?
Smoky.
It was printed with smoke, like with clear and just a little bit of black to smoke it out.
You can see him here.
This one, it just struck me as such a clean, like just such an absolutely clean print.
Steve from Steve's Toys is just a genius. I mean, money, but it's worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you said you had it there, if you were trying to show it. I had to move.
I did. Right here
Oh, wow.
of the canopy.
Beast.
You can kind of see
Oh,
in
wow.
there. Can you see that? Okay.
You got to kind of bring it. There you go. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I got all this note.
It's just,
Yeah.
for me, a lot of the FDM stuff, I end up looking too close at it, and then I can't take my eyes off of the layer lines and everything, and I look at your stuff, and it's so clean and sharp.
Well, to be honest with you, there are lines on this one at all. It was such a clean print that, like I said at the beginning of the thing, I think it's anything about 3D printing. My wife won't let me get one, which is funny because with the amount of money I've spent to have other people, I could have bought like 8 3D printers, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. I think if I had a 3D printer, this whole shelf of mine, all this stuff, like 10 times as big.
He doesn't want you going down that rabbit hole.
Right.
It is. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, because I have like 8 3D printers, and I'm always looking at new ones. Like, man.
All right. So we are kind of coming up on time. I do want to take a look at this raptor real quick because that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, if we're talking about, you can I could just get the guy if you want.
Sure.
Oh, you see how the silver is brown?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So
So that was the bleed through.
right. And if you notice on these guys, like on the chest or even the pants, this is just straight color, like you would have with an official. Yeah, with the dyeing, this is the only guy that has blood so far happen again, unless I figure out why that's happening and what to do about it. And if anybody on the chat knows, I'm always happy for any help.
It's nice. It's super clean.
So this is the 3D print. Let me just make sure that we see. Can you show the brown and the APC, because you guys are the 3D printing crew? Just a shout out to Sean. That one is Steve's Toys. That guy was a beast and worth it.
Where is that even big enough for your shelves?
It's down
Or
there.
small enough? I mean, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Down there in the corner.
Wow.
Here's all my 3D printing paint up. So that's the work in progress,
Okay.
including a watch.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I'm only allowed one corner the room.
Awesome.
Lunch in a second. Go get a snack. I'll be down in a second. Okay. And then
Let's.
Sean, if you just show the brown vamp really quick, just to highlight what a great Sean Cho did.
The Vamp Mark II. Here we go.
Boom.
Yeah. It's just.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, just you're applying these techniques to them that it just make them so pleasing to the eye, and you do such it. Just everything is so sharp and clean. Ugh.
Thanks, bud. I appreciate that.
That's amazing.
Wow.
It almost looks like the Matrix in there.
Look at that.
Right there.
And then, since this is a 3D printing podcast, I just request the Lifeline, and that was done by Shane Mann. And I think he's down from where that vamp was.
The which one?
Lifeline.
Lifeline. So that gear was done by Shane Mann. Commissioned him, and a lot of these guys, Muchas Gracias, Emilio Z, they'll do these that are just fantastic, and it just makes today's guy, right? But if you don't have the gear that goes with him, he kind of, being part of this 3D community and partnering with, all these Uber do really made kind of this dream possible to bring these guys to life. And thank you all.
How did you do the rescue on his left leg?
Decal, Bad Mother
Another
Tattoos.
decal? Okay.
Yep.
So you're able to get them to make specific items for you because they didn't have that just sitting around, right?
Yeah. So if there's something doesn't exist, I throw money at someone until they make it exist.
Well, that's awesome.
And I always want a good relationship with whoever I work with, so I always end up paying them a bit more. So, when I'm more inclined to say, yeah, that guy, nice guy, paid me a little bit more, let's help him out. Plus, it's supporting the community, and the community is a great community.
I know, like you were one of the early guys picking up my stuff. Like, no kidding. Like the people that are all on the screen right now have all like kind of helped encourage me to keep doing what I've been doing, and it's really it's made me happy. Like I'm really happy doing what I'm doing, and yeah, Juan, Mike, like they were like early when I was doing kind of like 3D design tutorials in Tinkercad. Like they were the guys that came in and got in the, not just in the chat, but like in the voice chat, like Discord and stuff. And I mean, that was huge. Like getting encouragement from other people in the community is just enormous. So
how is the new direction you're taking your company?
So
it's
two companies now. So it's Mark II Toys, which is manufactured products, and that's the two weapon sets that I'm doing, weapon set A, weapon set B. And then there's the Mark II design doesn't go away because like I just get ideas in my head and I have to do them. And I can't, my legitimate production business, I don't want to dabble in things I don't have a license to do, like doing the claw. I mean, I'm not making that many of those things at the end of the day. So I think it still kind of falls into the category of fan art. But I want to do those things, and I like teaching people and developing a community, and Mark II Design is going to kind of be the business of doing that. So it's two different
Well, I'll
things.
support you.
Cool. Yeah, I like real soon. So I don't want to get too pluggy at the end of the show here, but like real soon I'm gonna start pushing my Patreon. It'll be Mark II Design, and the idea being like once a month I'll do a project kind of start to finish. The first couple months are kind of a bit of catch up where like I'm doing this ferret, which I had done as a commission, but I never made one. So I'm going to do that. And then next month, I'm going to finally finish the Thunder Machine that I started like a year and a half ago. So
Is that
it'll
the
be, you know, kind of,
Dreadnoks one?
yeah, the Dreadnought Thunder Machine. But like I had my dad design the lights for me because he's an electronic engineer. So I've got like the blinking, alternating red and blue police lights and floodlights and headlights. And
Oh, nice.
Put me
yeah, it's going to be
down
pretty.
for one.
Well, so this is, I don't plan to sell prints of these things. They're meant to be kind of one-offs. Here's how I did it. Here's, you know, what, if you're in the tier.
Sure, if I throw enough money at
What he's trying to tell you is
I'm gonna, you're not wrong.
down for it.
But yeah, you know, like I don't, the plan is to kind of go all out on one. And for most people, that's going to be cost prohibitive. And I was kind of talking to Mike before the show. So like one of the things I'm doing is for this ferret, I'm doing, I'm kind of comparing like an FDM print, you know, where you can get some like ugly underneath stuff to it. This is a SLS print. I want to make myself bigger since we're doing this now. So this is SLS. This is almost $400. This thing, it's almost like porcelain. It's nylon, but it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect, and it's heat resistant and strong. I could probably throw it across the room and it'd be fine. Like, but it's very expensive. Whereas your SLS, like I don't even want to fix the underside of this fucking thing. Like that's ugly as hell. But I'm gonna do it. And then I've got some resin ones on the way. So I'll talk about like, you know, how much did it cost? Like how, like this is also like heavy. This is much lighter. Like I'm gonna kind of compare and contrast everything. And that's the plan. Kind of just talk all the way through projects. Like what's the best way to do tires? What's the best way to do the XYZ? So that's what I plan to get
out.
into.
So like people can print them for you.
For me, it'd be like if you're in the right tier, you'll have access to all the files that I do, and then you can print it yourself. You can hire someone to print it for you. You can send it to a printing service. You can whatever you want to do, but you'll have access to the designs, and you'll see how I put things together. And so, like another thing with this, like this was absolutely designed to be printed with FDM, and what I've done is. A lot of parts I've done in resin, and for me, like resin always kind of grows. So if you've got like a male, and I'm not going to do this, but like a male and a female end, if you do them in resin, you've got to really design some extra space in there because the hole is going to close up, and the other end is going to grow, and they're going to end up not fitting. FDM doesn't do that as much. The SLS stuff,
Perfect.
it's so perfect, but it's just so expensive. It's so expensive. So like I know even before I started this, I knew I was gonna have to like sand down like any little spot where one piece plugs into another. These things, I'm gonna have to sand them down to make them fit because I did it in resin.
Yep.
Whereas the FDM ones that got printed out just snapped right together. So it's little things like that. I'm just gonna talk about it, communicate it, and just see what people think.
And yeah, in the meantime, we're going to be figuring a way to get this Thunder Machine away from Mark. So.
Yeah, I'm real happy with it. Like I was talking to someone a night or two ago, and we were talking about like you can stick just exactly close to the original, or you can kind of vary it up a little bit. And there's things I'm changing on the Thunder Machine, like the whole the Gatling guns on the front. If you look at the original toy, like they are ugly. They're bad. Like as a kid, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. Like it was so cool, but like they're pretty ugly. So I cleaned those up, and like the jet engine on the back of it has like a blunderbuss for the back end, and like I'm making that look more like an actual jet engine. So I'll make a few tweaks here and there, but
Well, so do you find that if you do that if you take an existing and then you change enough about, you mentioned earlier that it would still fall under the category of fan art, but I'm familiar with the laws or how it all works. But if you change enough in the design to, make it, changing the jet engine or changing the Gatling guns, would that fall under, a more protected, possibly we wouldn't get chased down?
I mean, they're supposed to be like, if you change something, I think it's like 10% or something.
10%, okay.
That's what I've heard, and it wasn't from a lawyer. But I think the scale alone, if I do it in classified scale, like that's enough technically. But I'm not looking to piss off Hasbro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No, but there's so much stuff that's just never going to get made.
Pissing off. It's more of an homage to our youth and to mine, and what a great job they've done.
Sure, I think they wouldn't want you interfering with their sales, and I don't think this does that.
No.
But there's obviously a demand for this stuff. I would love if I just had the money, I would have Mark II Toys license items from Hasbro and try and like, hey, I'm just going to do 112 scale vehicles. That's all I'm going to do, and see if they would do it. Because like,
how much would that
they're going to do
cost? Do you think?
The licensing is crazy.
Licensing, but they're licensing so much stuff now. I'm kind of curious. I can't speak for Hasbro. Obviously, I have not reached out to them. I don't have the money to even initiate this conversation yet. But the way it works is you pay them. There's a number you pay up front. Maybe it's $10,000-$50,000 somewhere in there, and then they get a percentage of everything you sell, usually between like 8 to 12% in there somewhere. And then there's a thing called a guarantee, and the guarantee is like, let's say I license a Thunder Machine from them. I give them $30,000 to allow me to do it. They're going to get 10% of everything I sell. And I guarantee them they're going to make $300,000. So as I sell them and they get that 10%, once it reaches $300,000, it's done, and I can just sell as much as I want, make all that money. And it comes down to the contract. Let's say the contract's for 3 years. If in 3 years I haven't sold enough to give them the whole $300,000, I owe them the rest of that money because I've guaranteed that that's what they would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's big
And
money.
if it's 10%, you'd be trying to make.
Right. Well, I mean, you wouldn't do this for 3D printing. Period. There's the money's. It's just too crazy. This would have to be a manufactured product to hit the numbers, because you've got to be able to bring the cost down enough where people will buy it, and then.
I don't know. Juan's got 8 printers.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah, you have to do numbers. You got to do volume. So
yeah, and like that Thunder Machine, when I hit go and it's time to just print all the pieces, I expect to be straight printing on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different machines, and it's going to take me probably close to a week if I'm lucky and things aren't failing left.
Yeah,
and right.
I always say it's going to be a month, no matter what.
Yeah, printing is it's a lot of fun, and this is what I was saying. Like, if I'm making one for myself, like, it is a joy to do. As soon as I have to make 4, 5, 10, 100 of them, oh, it's brutal.
Yeah,
you set something up to print overnight. It's going to go for like 10, 11, 12, 15 hours, and then you come in the next day and it's just a mess, and now you've got to troubleshoot. You just wasted all that time, material, money. It's frustrating. But when you're doing a passion project for yourself, it is fun.
I've run into that with the figures I painted. Like if I'm just doing, Airborne or whoever it is, just for 2 or 3 figures, I've made one for friends. I've never sold anything, and it's been fine because they're for my friends. But the stress level increases because you want it to be just right, or
To be nice.
already have my
And
part.
that's you're
So
giving
it's
them
kind
as
of like
gifts. Now
this-
now throw the fact that someone wants to throw money at you for it.
right.
Like add that
And then the
extra level of stress.
expectations with that,
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
shied away from it entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Smart
why
man.
that's why I have like a separate company for production stuff. Like that's what I would like to be doing. I do the design, I manage, and some factory can do the intense labor of actually producing this stuff.
And do you have people
That's best.
in line?
Say again?
Like, let's say you make the Thunder Machine, and there's probably a better one to use in his example, because that's a smaller vehicle that can still make it on the shelves. Cases like the Thunder Machine, because not everybody has an entire room or whatever to donate to this, but when it was popular, and it'd be a nice little add-on. So let's say you have a huge demand for that ferret. You then like license it out to other 3D printers to print for you
Yeah, so
with commission,
is-
or
yeah, this is where it gets weird. So the 3D printing world has been, since its inception, kind of the Wild West, where once you release a file, whether you sell it to one person and one person only, or you put it up on Thingiverse for free or something, you've absolutely lost control of that file. You no longer have the ability to control who does what with it, when and where and how. And that can be a bit much for some folks. For me,
yeah, that's what Steve's toy.
yeah, I really try to not get wrapped up in that stuff. I would rather just like if because there's people that genuinely want to pay you for your time and your effort and your work. And I've had files that I've had up for free for 5, 6, 7 years, and I'll get people that track me down and like, hey, I know you did this file. I'd like to give you $5 or whatever. And that's, to me, that's wild. But I would rather people get the file from me and have someone they know and trust and like print it themselves. Like it's real sketchy. A lot of the 3D printing farms and stuff are like it's guys that have an extra machine and they do it in their spare time, which means it's not a priority, so it takes a long time, or you don't know what you're getting. And yeah, it's just such a mixed bag. I wish I don't have like a single no shit dedicated printing farm someplace that I can recommend. Mike, you ran into a guy at what, Toylanta or something that
I did, yeah. And I started interfacing with him, and then he kind of disappeared. So
there you go.
the communication broke down, and I didn't follow up with him again. So
Okay.
but yeah,
he had like a full-on printing farm like that.
Well, he had like 30. He had 30 resin printers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, he was really doing some cranking out some stuff, but communication just fell down. I might try to engage with him again, but it kind of broke down on both ends. It's not like I sent him an email and he stopped responding. It's just it took him a week to get back to me, and then by that time I'd moved on to something else. And
yeah. So flip side of that, if you find a legit business, so like the SLS print that I've had, the machine that's printed on probably is like $500,000 to $1 million machine. Like they're not fooling around. Like that's a legit printing service. And that one's from Geometry, and they're out of Chicago. Like you can go online and find like big business, like production places like that, but you're gonna pay the money for it. The stuff you're gonna get is gonna be fantastic, but it's gonna cost you. And that's the other thing. Like people don't want to pay, $500 for a ferret, but
that's what it costs.
It's not going to be 50, or it shouldn't, because
shoot, you had people that didn't want to spend $300 for a mass-produced official HISS tank.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
but that kind of changes things, because that's because it's produced the way it's produced, the production cost comes down significantly.
Right.
With numbers, when you're tooling stuff. But then, gosh, man, they're probably spending $250,000 just on the tooling on that thing.
On the tour.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, we're getting into the numbers of things. His tank, it's mass produced, but it's not like the old numbers that they were doing back when we were kids. They're not doing the numbers where you walk down the aisles and you have whole aisles of his tanks. They're
The
pretty
good old
much,
days.
yeah, the good old days. They're pretty much just doing. It's really made to order. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see exactly how many they'll be making, like 27,000. I mean, that's it. Back in the heyday, they probably scheduled to make 1 to 2 million of them.
Yeah.
So that's why it's another reason why price is what it is, and people can't wrap their minds around it. Like, they don't care; they just want the item for like a price that they figure it should cost.
Yeah, but just throwing the 3D printing monkey wrench at that, it's like finding the right price for something that takes you a week to print, a week of your time babysitting that machine, like.
How labor and time, if you were to print out whatever it is, let's say a vamp or whatever, how much time can, at least from my end, maybe that, all right, good, I just upload the file, let it magically happen, throw in, and then come back and it's all done. But I'm sure that it's not like that. What
Ooh, well, Mark can definitely attest for vehicles, but you're pretty much spending, like I said, you're spending a legit week printing stuff. It could be 2 weeks just printing stuff. It could be 3 weeks just printing stuff, especially depending on the size of that thing. And then that's just the printing. That's just getting a decent print where you're like, okay, now I can take it off and I have to clean it up. So there's cleanup time and all these different things. Let's say you're going to paint it. I still want to send it to you cleaned up enough so you're like, what is this shit, so
right.
So
yeah, this isn't even bad. Like that's I have some stuff I can pull off of there, and it's ugly, but it's not like for FDM, like that's about what you're gonna get.
Prints like that, and it's kind of like you were talking about, Mark, when you say it's a labor of like that, but I want this vehicle to, I'm going to put in the time to clean up all that crap. And I don't think on your end, I think that can happen on, well, at least my end. I can't speak for anybody else, for myself,
right,
but I have no trouble.
Right. That's the thing. As a artist or printer, we don't want to send you something like that. Like,
right.
So we're spending the time to kind of clean it up before we send it to you. Even if you're like, I'll handle it or I'm going to paint it. There's no way I'm going to send you that.
Yeah, I did one print for a guy, and one part I must have printed 10 or 12 copies of it, because every time I would print it, it did not look right to me. I was printing it at a different scale than what I had designed it for. It was a smaller scale, and like every time I printed it, it would warp. So then I tried it in a different orientation, but then the lines didn't look right. So it was all this and then I spent time trying to fix my machine to make sure that it was balanced. And by the time it was done, by the time I had a version of the print that I was satisfied with sending him, I had a stack of these parts. And I just sent them all to him, and I said, listen, these are the ones that you should use in your model, but these are other ones I'd have to throw them away, use them for paint sampling, use them for, doing whatever you want to do with them to test processes and materials and paints, but otherwise I'd have to throw them away. But that ended up being, I printed a much smaller scale, but that itself was probably a day's worth of printing just to try to get those parts right for them.
So what's the right? This is hypothetical. So like, what do you charge this guy? He just wants to pay for the one thing.
Exactly.
We
Exactly. So I'm not,
making a whole bunch of them, right? Like there's so much waste with it.
yeah, and exactly. In this case, we had just come up with a price. I think I sold it to him for, I just threw a price out there. I think I told him $20, and then he threw in some money for shipping. But the amount of time that it took me to continue to print the parts, I ate that. And this wasn't a business or anything. This was the Vulture, and the guy that had done the original line art, who I'd gotten the permission of, was like, "Hey, I'd love it if you'd print one of those for me." So it wasn't like an official selling. It was just, hey, I want to go ahead and print this guy because he's the one that did the original art that I based it off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, you're getting into, the people who sort of make the file or 3D print the file. We're always kind of struggling with like, how much do you charge for getting this into somebody else's hands where they don't necessarily understand what it is you've kind of gone through to get it into their hands.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why. So like the claw, like I made a mold. So I got an SLS print because I couldn't print this myself. My machine wasn't big enough. And so like the one you got, that's a resin cast from a rubber mold that I made. But like this was the first one that I got done. Like the first one that I went through the whole process, made the mold and cast it. And so to get this thing in my hands just the way it is cost me like well over $1,200. I can repeat it. I can cast more, right? And so like the overall cost comes down. But like I wanted to make something, like I couldn't. There was no way I was going to print these. No way. Not with the detail that's on them. Not with FDM. So I went about finding a way to do it in a repeatable way that hopefully like the price would come down. But like just a simple thing like that, like the initial investment was enough that I'm not doing that over and over and over again.
So it's a great question that you're asking. That, I mean, people who don't print, you kind of don't understand. It's just like any consumer. You don't really know what it took to get it into your hands, basically.
Yeah, it's not just you hit the button and it's not the replicators in Star Trek. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you guys know, like you'll get people like, hey, can you print me a whatever? Can I print one? I sure. Do you have a file? Yeah. No, there's all this wasted material from the supports. There's the time. Just like it took me years to get to where I am with my ability just to slice things, just to take the file and prepare it to go on the printer I want to print it on. You have to slice it, and like it takes a while to get good at that. It takes a while. It takes a while to get good at designing. So like if you were to commission me right now to like, let's say someone wanted, hey, I really want a we'll just say the claw, like someone commissions me to do a claw and they want a physical print of it. Like there's some decisions in there. Do you want FDM and you're gonna have to clean it up? Do I have to clean it up? Do you want resin? Do you want this SLS thing? But along the way, like, I mean, the hours it took me to design this thing, and there's like it's not just like just scan the old one. That doesn't work. It doesn't. We've done a whole show on that. A, it doesn't work that way. But yep. B, like these figures can't, that little peg that was there, you can't use that. You can't use those pegs anymore because all the classified holes are different sizes, different shapes, different angles, different locations. So like I had to figure out how to.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. It was a clever fix, though, Mark.
Thank you. But like at the end of the day, like how much do you think how much would I charge someone for something like that? For the hours and hours of skilled technical labor?
I think I tossed from you were way undercharging. I think you only charged $55 for those.
For the claw?
Yeah. Was it more?
Yeah. Well, so I set that price before I finished
really realize. Yeah.
making it. Because I wanted, when I had done the trouble bubble, which turned out to just be too much for my printer. I was able to. I think I made maybe 5 or 6 other things, and I was charging like $100, $110 for them. That was way under. Those things I probably should have charged $300 or $400 for. No kidding.
Wow.
But the claw, because I knew I wanted to make a mold and cast it, and I believed I could do it. I'm like, I will try to make more of them, charge way less, and see how it goes. It's an experiment, honestly. It's an experiment in what can I do? Like, what's repeatable? What's affordable? What are people willing to pay?
I gotta get off here because I gotta feed my kids lunch. But just to be
No
clear,
worries.
Mark, you will take money.
We'll figure something out.
I think what he's telling you, Giles, is start working on your dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start releasing them. I even figured out on the dreadnoughts I in effect, so I got them to change color in the sunlight.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
With paint?
I mean, I thought the Zartan that has repulsed putting my guys in a freezer and waiting 15 minutes, and then having them, be blue for, goes back to, the different plastics go back to normal color at different times. It's taken me a while. I'm starting on Xandar, and then I'll do Zartan, and then when Zorani gets released, I'll add the skin color change effect, or they were supposed to. But I can't wait. Knox coming.
Awesome.
Nice.
And what I'm doing on the,
Super.
like I said, with the Cobras, I'm making them all kind of like official Hasbro release, and a part I used, and the process I did it. The ideas behind it is the painting kinds that I do with these. So how I'm trying to do these is anybody can make them. Need to be, amazing paint job. Like they need to be good enough, and it's really what my goal here is. If I figure out how to do it and then give that information out, even on the fence about making their own, and they say, well, I think I could get that done. And JS Armory on Jason, amazing, like the big boa loadout. I just got his monkey wrench loadout. Oh. So you guys are making it real easy to make these things for ourselves and not have to wait for 6 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 6 years.
Yeah.
Even after they show you.
Even if the classified line has 6 years of legs on it, like shit, I'm gonna be fucking 60 something. So hopefully, right? So
right.
I'd rather get some of this stuff sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I got a boogie. I got to feed my kids lunch.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, that's
We
great.
will,
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a real fun time.
Yep.
have a good one. Thank you.
Joe.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. We're gonna wrap it up there. We got a little philosophical at the end.
Okay.
Oh no, it's a weird. It's always been a weird thing. Like nobody wants to actually pay what I think these 3D prints are worth.
Yeah.
Because of the time and the skill, like no shit skill and talent that goes into creating something out of nothing, out of your mind, and making an object. Like,
yep.
So much goes into it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the other problems is unless somebody has one of these things in hand, they just don't realize how big they are when you scale it up to classified.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the HISS tank, I can't tell you how many comments I saw that were like, "Oh, it's only twice the size. It should be twice the cost."
No.
It's like that's not the way volume works.
No, that's
Not 8 times the cost.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
so real quick, November, I think it's the weekend of the 5th. I'm going to Assembly Required, which is put on by Codename Iowa, out of
Okay.
up in Des Moines, and that's supposed to be like it's more of a GI Joe con than it is a toy con. I haven't been before, but I keep hearing good things, and I'm actually designing there's going to be like a con exclusive weapon set that I've designed for them, and that's thankfully I don't have to 3D print it. Somebody else is doing that. But it sounds like they're going to package it up real nice. It'll be cool. So excited about that. So if anyone's interested, like the 2 people watching, which is probably like, I don't know, Juan's phone and my mom. You're welcome to come to Iowa and say hello. So if you guys got anything you want to plug or?
Oh no, the show's been pretty long, but very entertaining. I hope the people who do watch it really kind of enjoy what they see today, because that was cool happening on.
Yeah, I'm shocked to find out that he's just sanding his FDM prints and putting paint on them.
Mhm.
I thought I was going to crack open some gem about how to make them look better before painting. That's what I thought was happening today. Nope. Just sanding. Just sanding. Well, I mean, it's like they look great. I was hoping he had the answer to the easy button.
Yeah. It was really just do the work.
Do the work. Damn it. Do the work. Ugh.
Cover it with elbow grease.
So, no, we, for everybody watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Do the work.
Do the work. That'll be our tagline for the 3D printing panel we do at Joe Fest. Do the work.
Do the work.
Do the work. All right. With that, I'm gonna end it, and we'll see you guys in a couple.